Hi, I'm Ben. I'm the director here at Matter Solutions. I founded the company 18 years ago in April 2000, and I've been building a team ever since and training people up and getting them to the point where I'm happy for them to work on awesome stuff for clients. So we often get a lot of questions, and some of these questions are pretty straightforward and very sensible. So I'm going to run through some of the most common ones, the frequently asked questions. How long does it take to see results from SEO? Well, really depends on the market, but in general terms, because the function of like how much SEO you can have and how much we can deploy at any one time for a particular client usually takes 6 to 9 months for an SEO campaign to really get interesting from a starting position. If you're getting going and you've already been underway, or you've done some interesting things, or you've got a lot of PR going on at the time, that can be considerably less. But that's sort of a rare circumstance. Usually people who come to us wanting SEO haven't really done anything for a long time, and they haven't really done anything at all, if anything, of value in SEO. And what we need to do is make their website more credible, takes a bit of time, put some blogs up there, make the thing look really good, and then start building links, building content that attracts links, and also go out and find people who will link to you as a website. Basically, it does take quite a while. There's actually sort of green shoots, and you see the starting point of improvements in rankings at sort of 3, 4, 5 months. But there is a sort of a difficult point at about the 4-month mark when you've paid, say, 4 months of SEO, and maybe you get the bill for the 5th month. At the bottom of page 1, you might have some things on page 2 and beyond still, and you'd look at that and say, well, is it really worth it? Well, when you actually get to page 1, towards the top of page 1, it is extremely worth it. And at that 6 to 9 month mark, you'd look at it and go, why didn't I do more earlier? But that's hard for us to kind of say to you, oh, you have to do this and that's what's definitely going to happen, because each market is quite different. And there's a question a bit later on that I'll answer about that. So what's a realistic goal to set? Well, really, if you've got nothing ranking and everything sort of, starting from scratch, then a realistic goal to start with is to get to page 1. So within 6 months, we would expect to get a good deal of good keywords to page 1. Maybe a couple of things would get to the top 5. Those wouldn't necessarily be the most competitive terms, but yeah, that's the kind of goal we'd be looking to set. It's a bit sort of backwards in that that's a realistic kind of time frame to achieve most of your results, and that would be something we would use to set your budget. So if you wanted to do it much faster, we could with a larger budget, but it really does take a little bit of time to do all these things. So the old saying of it takes one woman 9 months to have a baby, but 9 women can't necessarily have one baby in a month. It really does take that amount of time to go through and actually get the attention of Google in a good way and do that right. There are some competitors of ours who will try and do it much more quickly. There are reasons why you should be careful of that. There's a question about quality a little bit later on. So what results can I expect? Well, you can expect SEO to deliver on activity, and we'll be showing you reports and things at the start to show you, look, this is what we're doing, we're heading in the right direction, we should discuss and make sure that we're all on the same page on a regular basis. But one of the things that you should really be cautious of is driving things by, say, number of links, because the number of links, when that's the driving KPI, you can end up with a horrible situation where the motivation is there for us to build low quality links, and that's a very bad idea. I would rather have one good link than 10 poor ones, and there's some very good reasons for that. So the kind of results you can expect, well, you'll get good reports that will identify for you where those green shoots are. Every month actually you'll get those, but particularly you'll start to see the green shoots, and we'll explain to you what's going on 3, 4, 5 months in, and at the 6, 7, 8 month mark you'll actually start to feel the traffic. You may feel some keywords move sooner. We had one particular client, we got them ranking very, very quickly because they had some historic work, some PR things that we were able to capitalize on and get their rankings moving very quickly. But like I said before, that's sort of the exception. The results you can expect is when you get to page 1, get to the top of page 1, you will get traffic. You will get a considerable amount of traffic to your website for the right keywords. And it may well be that the kind of keywords you'd be ranking for, well, I guess it may be not considerable amount of traffic, maybe, but there would be those people that are looking for what you have to offer. And when we try and get you ranking for a particular keyword, we're thinking about the intent. What is in their head? What is it that that person is looking for at that time? If they just type in plumber Brisbane, there's all sorts of intent options that they could be thinking about. They could have a blocked drain, they could need a hot water system, they could need a trench dug and a pipe laid. You could have all sorts of different things. But if they actually specifically say hot water system, western suburbs, there are many less people searching for that. But if that corresponds with what you're offering, we can rank that more quickly, and when you get that traffic, you can service that traffic and make money. And that's primarily the idea of getting you a result sooner. We think about those lesser keywords as we head towards the bigger keywords, and we earn sort of commercial value for you from those keywords. So how can you get me to the top of Google if you're working for a competitor? Well, I was at a trade show just the other day, and I had this exact question, and the guy said, well, if I'm, so-and-so printer in this case in North Brisbane, then how can you look after someone else? Well, one of the things is that when we're going for a particular set of keywords, we're very cautious about understanding, and we take the time to understand what's the intent behind what people are looking for. And as I've just said, we want to get you ranking for stuff that you're going to get a return on. So in that case, that man that was particularly talking to me about digital printing, business cards and that sort of thing. Now we can get him ranking in North Brisbane for all sorts of different terms, and even head towards keywords in Brisbane overall. And in general, we wouldn't really look to take on a competitor of his. If somebody else wants to go for exactly the same keywords, if the print shop 2 doors down called us and said, hey, will you take me on? Well, the answer is no, because we're into bat for this guy. That is part of the reason why we have contracts. Usually our contracts are either 6 or 12 months long for SEO campaigns, and we would look after him. Basically, he's our client, and we're into bat for you. So how can you get me to the top if you're working for a competitor? Well, in this case, we wouldn't work for the competitor. We would work for him. And in that case, in the case where you've got somebody, say, on the Gold Coast, so outside of Brisbane, who's competing for different keywords, different content, yes, absolutely, there's no competition, and effectively we would take on that other client, and we would understand the keywords. Let's say that we understand particular markets quite well. We have a lot of experience in the training space. We know the property market very well. We also know lots of other particular niches, dentists and all the service delivery that dentists offer, and understanding all of these different specific things. And in any market, we've done everything from as far as pallet racking to catamarans. Understanding the niches and the individual terms within these things, we can understand them from your perspective by listening to you as a client, but we can also understand them from numbers. So we get a lot of data and a lot of numbers from Google themselves. So how much does SEO cost? Well, in general, a small SEO plan will start at about $1,000 a month. But like I said before, what we'll be looking for is to understand the intent behind your customers. So we look at the keywords that Google tells us that those people are looking for, and we also understand the value for you. So if there's a particular set of keywords where people are looking for a particular phrase, maybe the dentist thing, they're looking for teeth whitening. Well, where's the value in that? Well, it's quite a low-cost thing, but over time, those people may well want to have, veneers or some other kind of service where they're spending considerable amounts of money. Maybe the Invisalign product, where they're spending, $3,000, $5,000, $7,000 in a go. Well, we're sort of interested in looking at those keywords, and we can look at who already ranks, and when we see who ranks and how hard they've worked to get there, and we know where you're at, maybe you're coming from a standing start, or maybe you've already done some SEO, mixed quality, or let's say you've done some good SEO. Well, if you are halfway there, we can actually look at it and say, well, we can get you the rest of the way, and we can give you an estimate of how much that would cost to get there, and spread the cost over, say 6 months or 12 months, so that we can move the campaign at a reasonable pace and not have that look kind of a bit fake and a bit weird, because there are some very aggressive ways of doing SEO where you can get websites ranking. That's a very bad idea, because ultimately you'll waste that investment if Google penalises you. So I would recommend avoiding that sort of SEO. Pay-per-click or SEO. So this is really a question of the kind of advertising that even other companies, but my team here, we also manage AdWords campaigns and Facebook advertising campaigns. So pay-per-click or SEO. Well, it really depends. So with pay-per-click, you can have a campaign up and running, and you can be buying traffic from Facebook or Google very quickly. Within a matter of days, you can be up and running and earning traffic and getting people clicking through into your website and maybe buying product or creating leads. Now, search engine optimization, as I've already said, takes 6 to 9 months to really get interesting and exciting. The key question in reply to PPC or SEO, it's really how fast do you want the leads? If you need them fast, obviously it's pay-per-click. If you are happy to invest in your website, make it stronger so it has a footprint and a competitive advantage over your competition, then SEO is definitely the way to go. In many cases, I've had clients who have both SEO and PPC underway, and we found that the cost for each lead that comes in is typically 3 to 5 times more for pay-per-click than it is for SEO. Now, that's not to say that they're not valuable leads. People who are clicking on ads are often aware that they're ads and maybe even in more of a hurry, so they're more ready to buy. So let's say the cost per lead is $80 and you've got pay-per-click, maybe the cost per lead is more like $250. Now in that case, your product you're selling, I'm not going to say who the client is, but in that case we had a client who ranked very well. They also had a very good advertising campaign, and in their case they were selling a product that was between sort of $3,500 and $4,500. Now that product, they knew that they would sell roughly 1 in 2 to people who were doing pay-per-click. So $250 a lead, that means that they've got $500 per sale, and so $500 cost of the sale out of the $3,500 that they were going to yield. It's pretty good. Now SEO, maybe only 1 in 3 of those people would actually, one of the 3 people who got in touch would actually buy, but at $80 a lead, that means that the cost per sale is only $240. So it's actually quite a bit cheaper than the $500 you pay on pay-per-click. And when you do those kind of numbers and you have those kind of that kind of tracking in place, and it's easily done with Google Analytics and the right know-how, then you can make a decision of what do I want to invest in. And in that case, that client used to invest quite a considerable amount of money into SEO. But as they had, it was a training company and they had courses, and they would have, say, 30 odd people come to a class. Now in that case, if they could fill the room completely with SEO, of course they would. But because it's time dependent and has to be done by a certain date in order to get everybody RSVP'd and booked in and all that sort of stuff, well then, and there are only a certain number of people searching for the actual particular niche, but you could certainly be in a situation where you'd fill half of the class or 3/4 of the class with SEO people, and then you'd fill the rest of the class with pay-per-click people. So, definitely in some cases you could run both, but essentially pay-per-click has its use of getting you moving fast, but perhaps at a higher cost per lead. SEO is more like a long-term investment which builds a competitive advantage and has a momentum, so it builds and builds and builds upon itself, and if you let it go for a little while, it will continue. It will fade away, but it will continue for quite a while. So do I need a new website for SEO? Well, if your website's terrible, probably yes. If your website's quite good, no, probably not. And really, the judgment between is a website good or is it terrible isn't necessarily just how it looks. I founded a web design company. Matter Solutions was a web design company in April 2000, but personally my design skills aren't as good as many others. So one of the things that I did for people was make the best of maybe not the prettiest websites in the world. So the websites I would build for clients way back then, I mean, I have a designer now, so they're awesome. But back then, what I would do is I would make sure that people got what they want when they were visiting. And just inherently that is good for SEO, because if I visit your website and it repels me because it doesn't have what I'm looking for, then I go back to Google, and effectively I'm signaling, as a potential customer of yours, I'm signaling that your website isn't satisfying. And over time, Google grabs and analyzes all that data, and I think you should probably watch the pogo sticking video, which we've got probably on this page. You should basically make sure that your website satisfies those potential customers. And that's why it's very important to think about the intent. What is it inside that query that they've given to Google? When they've typed in block drain Brisbane, well, they're actually looking for somebody in Brisbane to fix their block drain. You can make that assumption, and that's a safe assumption to make. And when you know they're in Brisbane and that's their problem, you can write pretty good text that addresses that problem and tells them you can be there to fix it pretty quickly, of course, if you can do that as a plumber. So do I need a new website? Maybe, probably not. Even some of the most terrible websites with a bit of tweaking and removing sort of sliders and slow things, they've actually performed quite well. We have a few ways of building websites very efficiently for SEO clients, so if you're concerned about that, don't let that worry you. And do I need to replace the whole website, even if maybe the intent is wrong? No. Usually you would just have to change maybe some images and the text, maybe some headers, to be really communicate and connect with people. So that's worth considering. So do I need a website for SEO? Probably not, but maybe it's worth getting a professional assessment. Do I need to do SEO only once? Or do I only need to do SEO once? Probably not. We have two main SEO contracts. The way we work for clients, we have these one-off packs of work, we call them SEO packs, where we'll do a chunk of SEO work. We basically document what it is that you're looking for, and what we'll do is outline to you what we'll definitely fix because they're high priority, what we'd like to fix because that's going to have a meaningful impact on your rankings, and what nice to have things are, or what things are on the list that we can't get to with the budget you've given us. So those SEO packs, they typically run between 1.5 maybe to 3,000. In some cases they've been more like sort of $4,000 or $5,000, but in general it's sort of $1.5 to $3,000. Now what we do in those cases is we really work with you to understand what are the things you want to achieve, and we talk to you about how we can focus on particular subsets of keywords, things that you really want to kind of improve, and maybe if you've had reasonable rankings in the past, what we want to recover, what we want to get back, and in that case we'll go out and fix the things in your website that are holding it back. I mean, imagine that you're driving your car around and it's making this horrible noise, and you pull up at the traffic lights and there just happens to be somebody there. They're a mechanic and they say, mate, your handbrake's broken. Okay, well, good. That was nice to know. Pull into a garage and 20 minutes later your handbrake is no longer broken and it's not trapped on. There's little things that can cause problems to your website, and you need a professional to go in and have a bit of a look and say, yeah, these are the things that I would fix. There's a couple of tools out there that if you're interested you can go and check yourself. Probably the best one I'd recommend looking at would be the Page Speed Insights. So if you just Google for Page Speed Insights by Google and then have a look and see what's it like. Usually you'd see quite a list of things that need to be fixed. That's the sort of stuff that we would do in the SEO pack. So in terms of our approach, we use the thing called the SEO triangle. It's like the fire triangle. We would be fixing the content and maybe the user experience of the website to make it a bit faster, make the text satisfy people who've got a certain intent for particular keywords. But there's a third side to that, and that's the links. You need to have some links that point at your website and signal to Google that yours is a good website to visit. Now, if you just build a few links as a one-off, and this is the danger with buying some kind of offshore SEO companies, services from offshore SEO companies, you buy a one-off block of work what can happen is they take you from having, say, 0 links or, a handful, to suddenly build you, 1,000 terrible quality links, and they do it over the space of a couple of months, and then they stop. Now, if you were Google, all you'd have to do is chart that over time, and you'd have a look that you went from sort of a flat line of very few, and then suddenly a big spike upwards, and then you've gone flat line again at a higher level. That looks fake. It looks like you went offshore and bought a load of links from somebody who built low quality links. So you're much better off putting stuff in your business that means that you acquire and earn links, good links, over time. So create good content, create good information that's useful, that people care about and they want to link to. That. If you happen to create like an ideal link asset, there actually happens to be situations where we make ourselves redundant by creating work like that, and you will earn links over time. That's kind of rare, but it does happen. So why is SEO important for my business? Well, I'm a business owner. I imagine either you are a business owner or you're responsible for doing the marketing for the business you work in. Now, one of the things you've got to think about is, how do I build a competitive advantage? Not only how do I build a competitive advantage, but how do I sustain and expand and build upon that competitive advantage? If I can raise a barrier between me and my competitors, which generates us business, is that worth investing in? And for me, that's SEO. And when I work with clients, that's what I'm working to help them achieve. Even if they only have a small budget, what I'm trying to do is help them raise the barrier and keep ahead of the curve so that they can build a competitive advantage against the competition. We have some clients who have invested in SEO over the last sort of year and a half. I'm thinking of one particular client actually, and before that they were just sort of run of the mill. Everybody else was doing SEO, they were doing SEO, they were kind of keeping up, and then at a certain point they said, right, we're really going to do this, and they tripled their budget. They spent a lot of money on SEO, and we were able to do a huge amount of work, and we've got them into a hugely dominant position. Now they're number one for all sorts of very valuable keywords, and they're absolutely dominating all over the country. They have stores all over the place, and they get leads all day, every day. They get sales all day, every day, and they're in a great position. The competitors don't know what hit them, really. They've got competitors in all sorts of different niches, and their website dominates pretty much all of them. And the nice thing is that now their business is more valuable, because instead of spending tens of thousands of dollars a month on Google AdWords to get that equivalent amount of traffic, they spend less on SEO, and they've been able to wind that back from the 3 times increase down to more like back to what it was, back to the one time, and they are able to invest in other projects, other things, and still get the same traffic, and they're effectively saving what they used to spend, tens of thousands of dollars of Google AdWords on. They're now generating that traffic just from SEO. Like I said before in the SEO versus PPC question, traffic is a little bit different in behaviour. They have to nurture and look after those leads a little bit more carefully, but they can do that because they've got a budget to do that. Can I do SEO for myself? Yes, I hope so. We definitely like to work with clients who are interested in what we're doing, and if you can think about SEO in your day-to-day business, you will build in a competitive advantage without even necessarily needing to spend any money with us. And that's just a case of you understanding, how does the world work now? Everybody understands the concepts of referrals. I mean, if you're out talking to your potential customers, if you're out, say you're a landscaper and you're talking to people and saying, oh yeah, happy with the work that I've done in your garden, and somebody says, yes, it's brilliant, and they say, oh yeah, my neighbour over here wants you to go over and say hello because they love it, right? They were really excited to see what we've had done. Brilliant. That's the best kind of lead, even better than SEO lead. And I would happily admit that the best leads are ones where people have referred you by word of mouth. But the same is kind of true with SEO. In terms of going out and securing links and people to do kind of deals with and work out who would link to you and who you've got a relationship with, people that you already know may well want to link to you. just got to give them a reason why. What is it you can share, put on your website that helps then link to you? And that kind of work we can get out of you, and we can do it for you, but you could do it yourself. You could. We do have some training options, so you can come in and learn about SEO for yourself. If you're a marketing coordinator or you're a marketing manager, we can definitely train you up and show you things, and it's pretty straightforward really. But it takes time. You've got to get your head around the idea that the only people that can really link are people with websites. So how do we appeal to those people, and how do we encourage them to write something that means that they're going to link to us, and link to you? Should I hire someone to do my SEO? Well, I think you should hire an agency, unless you're huge. Like if you're a really big company, you should probably build an SEO team, digital marketing team, in which case you probably need some coaching and consulting and advice, in which case you should hire us to help coach and consult them. But should you hire your own SEO to work in-house? Yes, maybe. Even the sort of mid-level and the junior staff that I've got here, recruiters are constantly trying to poach them and take them off to work for individual companies. But the problem is with that from their perspective, so as young employees, they're in a sort of a situation where they've got an extremely attractive skill which could well do your business very well, but they are kind of going to be stuck in a one-trick pony, really, that they know a certain set of SEO skills and they're going to need to just do those over and over and over again to get you ranking. But unfortunately, I've been around a long time, 18 years doing this now, I've seen situations where doing the same kind of link building, doing the same kind of SEO work for clients puts you at risk. You need to have quite a diverse effort into your link building, so you haven't just got directory links, you haven't just got links from what we call Web 2.0 kind of things like medium.com and social profiles and things like that. You need to also have some real legit decent content type links, guest posts. You need a very wide diverse range of links, so if Google comes along and says we're going to devalue some of these, it doesn't take out your whole portfolio of effort that's been put into SEO. Now if you hire somebody, depending on how much you're looking to spend to hire, you have to be cautious, because if you're looking to hire somebody with a lot of experience who can bring that diversity and that kind of skill in terms of all those different skills that they need to deliver, they're going to be very expensive. And that kind of money, you would get a lot of work from an agency like us. Somebody with less skill, somebody who's more of a junior, they probably only have a subset of skills. And that probably isn't going to do you the best long term in terms of your SEO. Now, if you can hire multiple people, 2, 3, 4, 5 people, absolutely you should be building an SEO team of your own, and you should be thinking about having somebody train them up, coach them, and show them what they should and shouldn't be doing. Maybe even have somebody professionally sort of give them some oversight and help them with their milestones and their goals. We have to be very efficient for clients when we're delivering work. Ultimately the way the economics of running an agency work, staff are quite expensive, and we have to make sure we're always training them. That means that we have to produce a lot of work out of every hour that we spend on the ground for you as a client. So we're very efficient. Now, we're actually a very open agency, and we've trained other companies on how to do that before. Not other agencies, don't train competitors, but other businesses who we're kind of allied with, either former clients who want us to help them build an internal team, or businesses that come to us and say, I've got a bit of a team, I need you to help them raise their game. So we can do that too. Can you guarantee the first position in Google? No. Why not? Because Google is in charge of that, and if your website isn't 100% the best thing on the internet for that term, and it has a good deal of links, and the website's really pretty fast and better than all the other ones around, there's too many variables. Yep. So if you wanted to have a guarantee of, I want to have the fastest car, yep, great, okay, but the whole market means that somebody else could come out with a slightly faster car, and suddenly the guarantee is broken. So it isn't under our control. What we can do is deliver you the very best SEO work that we can do, and we show you what we're doing. We're very open and transparent about what it is that we're doing, and we show it to you, and we show you the results. How will I know if SEO is working? Well, you will start to feel it. People will call up and they'll be slightly more informed than they were before, because what we call maybe the long tail keywords, the ones that are very specific, that have a high amount of intent. When somebody's looking for a landscaper to sort out a pond and a rockery, and you've talked about a pond and a rockery in your garden, in a client's garden, and you've written a case study, let's say, and they read that and then they get in touch, that is going to be an almost sold potential customer. They have a look at the beautiful pictures of the work that you've done, and you rank for this great stuff there in the western suburbs of Brisbane or in Brisbane. You will actually start to get business out of it, and that's when you know that SEO is working. I've had clients call me up and say, what on earth happened? And it's literally that they've transitioned from page 2 to page 1, and the phone has started ringing at a huge pace. That in particular was a very big keyword, Brisbane plumber, and that plumber called me up to say, what's happening? This is crazy. But they were getting calls from all over Brisbane, and as a one-man shop, they were too small. They couldn't service leads all over the city. So what we did is we actually changed the way the rankings worked, and we targeted more local things to them in Capera, Ashgrove, the Gap, their local suburbs. We helped them get what they needed, and they became very busy just in their locality, because they didn't want to be driving all the way over to Tingalpa and the north side. So they just didn't want to be all over the place. So how will you know? Well, you'll feel it. You really will. And personally, I really love working with, say, tradies, because you're either busy or you're on the phone telling us that you're not busy. Yep. And that's good for us. It's good for my team. I like that. Do I need to know how to code? Yes. No, of course not. No. Most website systems, we know our way around them. WordPress in particular, we've been working with WordPress for 10 years. It's been around for a long time, but 10 years is a very long time in the WordPress community. And yeah, absolutely, WordPress is like the vast majority of small business websites. It's 30% of all websites across all domains, but actually in the business space, it's probably, it's a bit of a guess, but it's probably more like 50%. We have experience with Joomla and Drupal and base kind of HTML websites as well. We've got some experience with Umbraco and a Concrete 5 and all sorts of weird kind of website systems. We can help you. Definitely help you. And you don't need to know how to code. We can hop into your code and make the changes. We keep track of every change we make. In some cases, we make the changes and then you have to approve them before we go live. In other cases, you can give us approval and we'll make the changes live in the code and just show you what we changed. In the cases where you have to approve, it's usually in a regulated market, or if you choose to. So a regulated market would be medical, insurance, finance, that kind of thing. But you can choose to do that. You can choose to sort of stand in the way and check that out. And I mean stand in the way because it does slow us down. Yep. But it's a good idea if you're in a regulated market, because we want your sign off on everything we do. Is SEO safe? Yes. Well, the kind of SEO we're doing, yes, it is. There are definitely other SEO companies. Some of the SEO companies that rank best in Brisbane, if you search for SEO in Brisbane, we used to rank very highly for that. And at that time, maybe some of the SEO we were doing wasn't the sort of stuff that I'd be proudest of. So we definitely have some good knowledge about what is not good SEO, hands-on knowledge about what is good, not good SEO. But for clients, we would never do any of that stuff, and we would recommend building a sustainable competitive advantage by building good quality SEO, good quality work that will last the test of time. And that's really goes right back to our ethos here at Matter Solutions, is that we want to do stuff that matters, that makes a difference to you and your business, your employees, your customers. We want to make it matter. Can you work with my current web designers? Yes, absolutely. Yep. We work with a lot of web design companies. Like in some cases, we'll work with them behind the scenes. You may even be a web designer, looking to learn some SEO or whatever, or trying to find somebody who's reliable and doing work at a higher standard. Yes, absolutely. We get approached by web designers all the time. We work with them. We help them make their websites more SEO friendly. We also will take commissions, take work from clients, and all you need to do is introduce us to your web designer. They can be in full control of the website. We can make some changes. We can work with them. We can share like code repositories if we have to share actual kind of code changes that have to be done. If they're going to be making some updates to the website, we just have to agree how the budget's going to work, and that you'll need to pay them for the stuff that they have to do. You need to pay us for our sort of agreed contract or whatever we're going to do for you. And we need to make sure that there's a loop in there so that you get to see that they're doing their best and we're doing our best, and that that there's not one of these horrible situations. And I have seen them, and I've definitely raised flags with the client where we can't do our work because they can't get the changes made, and then when the results don't appear, and they still take months to appear even after we've been waiting for 6 weeks for changes to be made, you're aware that you need to have words with your web designer. Let's put it that way. Okay, yeah, not to bag anybody, but it happens. Let's just say we want to do things that matter, so we won't necessarily shy away from saying you need to go and have a word with them because things need to change quickly. So should SEO be my only digital marketing activity? No, generally not. We have a very successful client who started SEO with us quite a long time ago, probably 6 years ago. We've been looking after them, and when they make changes to the business, when they do things, they call us up, they talk to us about it, and we are primarily their only marketing activity. I mean, they send emails to clients, they do a lot of sales kind of stuff, but they do that themselves. But they don't really do anything on social media. They don't do anything. They do a little bit of AdWords with us. We do loads of their marketing. We do all of it. They have a printer that does signage and business cards and stuff like that. But really, marketing-wise, it's very limited. SEO is the big way that they get in front of their customers. So, should it be? Probably not. Google can change the rules and pull the rug out from under us. The chance of that is very, very minimal because of the way we do SEO. I'm happy to talk about that face to face. But I would recommend clients and anyone doing any marketing have a few threads to their bow. Think about what are the things that you need to achieve, or you need to generate leads in a few different ways so that you're not reliant on just one. And certainly if you're just getting underway and you need to generate leads, you should probably think about doing pay-per-click to get leads coming in sooner. And even in that case, you can analyze which keywords are actually really valuable and convert into sales, so that the SEO can kind of pivot and target those particular keywords. When you know those keywords are really valuable because they turn into sales, then you can really put some extra emphasis on them in the SEO campaign. And when you get them ranking, that's when it gets very exciting. So I mentioned before I was going to answer this question about quality or quantity. Well, in terms of getting links to your website, so backlinks are links that point from other people's websites to your website, and forward links are links that you point from your website onto other people. So backlinks, should you try and get quantity or quality? Well, it should all be about quality. Like I said before, I would take one quality link over 10 poor quality links every day of the week. In some cases, you really need to think about, what is the topic? What is that website about? What's going on? How many people do they link to? If they link to loads of different people, and that's the purpose of their entire website, Google is going to treat them as like a source of spam, and you don't really want to be in the neighborhood of them linking to you. You just don't want it. It would actually do you more harm than good. The ideal link to ever get would be a link from the very best ranking competitor. That would be the best link you could get. But is your competitor going to link to you? No, absolutely not. But what's the next best thing? One of the most trustworthy websites out there would be government websites. Are they going to link to you? Yeah, probably not. But governments link to charities, sports organisations, training organisations. Are they going to link to you? Maybe. If you can get within a couple of hops of some very trustworthy websites, that can be very valuable. And thinking about link building in sort of a, instead of quantity, how many links are you going to build me? No. Where are these links coming from? What are they? What do they say? What do the links actually say? What are they talking about? What is the page that links to you talking about? Is it on topic? Is it relevant to your business? If it is, then your rankings can improve. If it's a really trustworthy website and it's relevant, fantastic. That's exactly what we want to see. So it's all about quality. So that's me. If you want to talk about your digital marketing, try and keep it plain English, a little bit of jargon along the way, but I like to explain what the jargon is. Obviously I've used SEO as a term a lot here, but other terms I would always explain them as we go, because I want you to learn, I want you to understand. If you want some help, got some questions, give us a call. Thanks very much.